from New Jersey. It's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John Trumbull, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well, Darren Patterson.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. Coming off the big birthday celebration I had.
Yes.
My big birthday weekend in the D.C. area, as the locals say.
You're a world traveler, you are.
Yes, I'm on a world tour with Muhammad, my man.
Yeah.
Just visiting some friends. Went to see some nice museums. Did some sightseeing. Had a lovely, sensible dinner. Went to bed at a reasonable hour. Just real crazy birthday party shit.
That's real crazy birthday party shit in your 40s. It's like, I went to bed in a reasonable hour.
Yeah, like it's not like in my olden days where I would just, get drunk and get crazy, do karaoke in the village.
Tear up the town.
Tore up the town. Oh, just you should have seen me, John. I was beautiful.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were a golden god.
Just bad to the bone. Just ripping up the town, making it my bitch. It was a fantastic time to be alive.
Okay. Good to hear.
Mm-hmm. And we also got some SNL news.
We did. They announced 3 new hosts and 3 new musical guests. And
3, yes.
We're getting towards the end of season 50. They're bringing out some heavy hitters on the hosts now.
The heavy hitters are a coming. So let's break them down and go through them one by one.
Okay, let's do it.
So March 29th, we got fresh off her Oscar win, Mikey Madison, and musical guest Morgan Wallen. Interesting lineup. Morgan Wallen, of course, that's actually a little bit of a surprise because he was on recently on the Jason Bateman episode, and he was supposed to be on the Bill Burr episode back in 2020, but hey, guess what? He decided I don't need no mask, and I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna distance myself. So
breaking the COVID protocols, and and SNL was like, nah, man, we're not about that infectious life. So
and then they ended up actually getting a much better musical guest in Jack White. We got a way better performance than we would have gotten with him.
Huge upgrade. Huge.
Yes.
And then they sort of made up the performance with Morgan Wallen, and he did some other assholey thing. I don't remember what at this point, but
he does a lot. He's I don't know. I'm not too wild about him.
I can't say I'm excited about him coming back.
I mean he's
partly because of his genre of music, partly because it seems like he's an asshole.
Yeah, but I mean he has a new album coming out, and he is a big deal in the country scene, so it makes sense that Lauren would want to have him on. And but we also get first timer Mikey Madison on the thing, who's like a brand new up and coming rising star.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really move the needle for me one way or the other because I haven't seen her movie that she won the Oscar for, and haven't even watched the Oscars, so I have no impression of this person whatsoever. I've seen her name a few times. That's it.
Exactly. Well, she recently won the Oscar for her film Honora, which she was the lead in. I've heard good things about her. It's very good. But like, if you look at her IMDb, she hasn't done a ton of stuff. Like, she was in the most recent Scream reboot. She was on the
haven't seen any of the new Screams.
She was on the TV show, FX show Better Things with Pamela Adlon. She was also...
Right, I heard of that. She played one of Pamela Adlon's daughters. I love Pamela Adlon. Never got started on that show.
And she was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's kind of... It's this weird thing with that movie where, like, there's like 4 or 5 stars who are like unknown at the time.
Yeah.
Played like people on Charles Manson's ranch, who kind of went on to be like really big deal stars. Like
like I know Sydney Sweeney was one of the Manson people. What's her name? Andy McDowell's daughter.
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah, she was the girl that Brad Pitt drove around. She put her nasty feet on the dashboard, and I was just like, ugh, okay. But I get that's your thing, Quentin Tarantino. I find it disgusting. No. Just ugh.
Yeah, it's weird. And also Austin Butler who also hosted SNL, was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well.
What did he do in that?
He played Tex. He was one of the guy on Charles Manson Ranch. I think he's also broke into Brad Pitt's house, Cliff Booth's house later on.
Right.
Cliff Booth gave him the business.
Yeah. That's putting it mildly. That movie takes a turn.
It really does. When that movie takes that turn, I'm like, it's almost like a whole different movie. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, it was a good movie. I'm glad I saw it. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm in a rush to see it again, just partly because it's so damn long. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked from the hosts. So I'm personally not too excited about the first episode back. Hopefully, I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Hopefully, I mean, the first episode back is always kind of hit or miss. Rather. It's always kind of like them kind of testing, getting their warming up the engine before they.
I don't have high hopes. If I'm pleasantly surprised, great. If I'm not, I didn't have high hopes anyway. So
yeah, absolutely. But on April 5th, ho ho ho, Jack Black comes back to host with musical guest Elton John and Brandi Carlile.
Whoa. Now that I'm looking forward to. I mean, I enjoy Jack Black. I enjoy him. Elton John. I mean, one of the greats, and Brandi Carlile. I've really loved her when she's been on the show before. So,
right. No. So this will be Jack Black's 4th time hosting. He hosted back in 2002 with The Strokes, 2003 with John Mayer, not John Mayer, and then he hosted back in 2005 with Neil Young, which is that episode people say is probably one of the best SNL's ever done because that's the one that had debuted Lazy Sunday, and it had that Robert Schimmel Christmas Time with the Jews short TV. What did I say?
You said Schimmel for some reason.
Yeah. Wrong Robert, my mistake. Yeah, Robert Smigel, Christmas Time with the Jews. But yeah, he's coming back to host.
So it's been 20 years since Jack Black's been on the show? That's nuts.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And for Elton John and Brandi Carlile, this is both their 3rd time on the show. Brandi Carlile was on the Jason Sudeikis episode back in 2021. Which we covered, and the Steve Martin Short episode in 2022. And Elton John was the musical guest on the April 17th, 1982 episode with host Johnny Cash. And
that's right. They came out in each other's outfits. I remember that. Yeah.
And then he pulled double duty and hosted and musical guested in 2011.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and the two of them actually have a good friendship. They're actually good, and I believe they have a joint album coming out too. Like what's the word? A combination.
A collaboration.
Collaboration, not combination. Collaboration. That's the word.
Right.
Yes. So this one I'm definitely looking a little bit more forward to than the Mikey Madison episode. But the Mikey Madison,
no comparison. Yeah,
Mikey Madison could blow me away, but I think. This one is
but it's always more exciting when it's somebody that you know and that you're a fan of, and they're coming on the show, and you're like, oh wow, I can't wait to see what they're due. So yeah, and then show number 3.
Yes, show number 3. Ho ho ho! I think this is the one we're both looking forward to. April 12th. Hot damn, we're getting John Hamm.
Yeah.
John Hamm and Lizzo in the house.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Lizzo fan. I've kind of gotten my fill of her, but I mean, I love John Hamm as a host. He's wonderful. This is his 4th or 5th time hosting?
This will be his 4th time on the show. He hosted back in 2008 with Coldplay, 2010 with Michael Bublé, and he hosted twice in 2010. Once in January and then again in October 30th. Halloween 2010 with Rihanna.
And it seems like he's hosted more than he has because he's done a ton of cameos. He must live somewhere in the city, and he's become one of those people that they just call, and he's comes in and he's game to do anything. And they even made a joke out of it at the 50th anniversary special, where he during the question and answer session with Tina and Amy, he gets up and he's like, hey, isn't it weird that I've only hosted 3 times?
What's up with that?
Yeah. So I mean, he's somebody I just trust impeccably. He's so handsome. He's so charming, and he's actually funny too.
It's like the first time I remember seeing him host a show, I was like, all right, we'll see what he can do. And then like when I saw it, I was like, oh, he's good. He's funny. He's actually as good, if not maybe a little better, than some of the cast members here. He's actually holding his own really
which
well.
Cast members did you think he was better than?
I don't remember.
Spill the tea, Darren Patterson.
No, I'm just trying to be sassy.
Okay.
They're all great. Everybody's wonderful. We're all
right. Yeah, they're all equally wonderful. It was Horatio Sands, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But
it's okay. It's okay. He's widely regarded as a horrible garbage person now. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. So it was that piece of shit that I was talking about. It was him. Bam.
So anyway, we're looking forward to John Hamm, and I know you're a fan of Lizzo. Your sister's like a huge fan of Lizzo's.
She enjoys the Lizzo. This will be her third time back on the show. She was, of course, on the Eddie Murphy episode in 2019. She did double duty in April of 2022, and then came back in December of 2022 with the Austin Butler episode. So yeah, this will be her third time back as well. I like her stuff. I think she's okay. And she has a new album coming out. She's been putting out new singles, so it'll be interesting to see what she does.
Okay. All right. So
three new episodes is coming at you, y'all.
Yeah. So this is going to be fun. I'll be interested to see how they wind up season 50, because we're past the peak of it now, I would say, and now we're just kind of back to regular, ordinary SNL. But I'd love to see them before the year is out, before the season is out, bring back an ex-cast member to host. I'd love to see Murray host one more time, or at this point, I don't know if they're going to get somebody like Christopher Walken back. I'd love to see Walken host one more time, but he's getting up there, and
he's an older fellow. I mean, he was on Severance, so maybe
he's amazing on Severance, and
maybe, but yeah, I mean, Bill Murray has said
discussion about Severance with you now, but we went on a Severance tangent a few weeks ago, so
we did, and I just watched the season finale, so I'm
I watched that the other day, and it was good. It's still a good show. It's still enjoying the show. It's going to be a long wait till season 3, man.
Yeah, it's a solid show. I'm like, it's so well shot too. My God, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're not here to talk about Severance. We are here to talk about a movie we've been meaning to do for several months now, and just it hasn't really worked out scheduling wise. It's always a tricky thing with the movies, is we have to fit them in around the new episodes of SNL, and here we had the new episodes of SNL, all those anniversary specials and stuff like that. So along the short of it, we didn't get to it until now, but it kind of worked out because we're coming up on the Trans Day of Visibility.
Yes, March 31st. So, I mean, what better day to talk about this film than now? We're talking about the film Will and Harper, which came out on September 13th of last year, 2024.
Yeah. And when I started reading up on this film after I watched it this afternoon, I was pleasantly surprised to discover that it's directed by Josh Greenbaum, who we actually covered several of his other films on this podcast before.
Yes, Josh Greenbaum. He directed Becoming Bond, the George Lazenby movie, the Hulu doc. Too Funny to Fail, the life and death of the Dana Carvey show.
Love that.
That
was a terrific doc.
Yes, and the movie that almost broke our friendship and tore this podcast asunder, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Probably the most divisive movie we've watched on this podcast, because we watched it for one of your birthday shows, like I guess about 2 years back now, and I remember you sent me the trailer and you were like, hey, what about this? And I was like, I don't know, it doesn't look very funny to me. I don't think I would like it much. And I'm usually a pretty good gauge about what I'm going to like and what I'm not going to like from a trailer.
Right.
And then, your birthday rolled around, you played the birthday card, and you were like, I want to watch this one. And I was like, okay. and you really liked it. I really didn't. So
yeah, it was the most like Siskel and Ebert we ever got. It was whatever.
Because we usually
agree
more than we disagree.
we're usually in sync, and this one is
Yeah.
just we were not. I was baffled by it. I was like,
It's
oh,
it's surprising, and I never want to do a podcast with somebody I disagree with all the time.
no,
So I like that we are on the same page often, but I do still think we have interesting conversations about the stuff we watch for it.
yeah,
But yeah, on that one we were just like,
it
nope.
was. Yeah, I was like, wow, I really did not call this one at all.
Yeah,
Miss,
but that's fine. That's fine. It
yeah,
makes life interesting, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, variety is the spice of life, they say.
Right, right. So this movie, Will and Harper, it's a documentary. It's about a writer for Saturday Night Live, Harper Steele, who at the time she wrote for SNL was Andrew Steele. We are not going to call them that because that is, as they explain in this movie, their dead name.
Right.
Uh, and so Harper was hired on SNL the same week as Will Ferrell, and they struck up a friendship. So they've been friends for, at the time of this film, like 27 years. It's been like 30 now. And so they knew each other all these years. They both got married and had kids. And then one day in 2021, Will Ferrell and a lot of Harper's other friends gets an email saying, I've decided I'm going to transition to live as a woman. And I love, because they're a comedy writer, they signed it, thanks, name forthcoming.
Classic comedy writing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Um,
Yeah, and like I think
so,
Will said he was like filming Spirited, the Apple TV movie with what you call it with Ryan Reynolds, and yeah, he got this message, and I
right,
don't think
yeah.
he heard from Harper in a while, and when Will heard this news, he was like, oh wow, it just kind of took him aback a bit.
Yeah.
And then the two of them started talking and
Yeah.
kind of restarting their friendship again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they eventually decide, because Harper, back when she was Andrew, uh, loved going on road trips and just traveling around the country and finding like out of the way dive bars and stuff and just like talking to people and getting to know people. All this is extremely foreign to me as an introvert.
Meeting people,
I'm like,
yuck.
you like meeting people, you like going places you haven't been. What the hell? What the hell? Gotta. That's the lifestyle in this movie that I object
to. Exactly. That filthy vagabond
to.
lifestyle. That ain't for me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't care for it. But the concern she had was she didn't know if she could go to the same places now that she was Harper, and Will Ferrell suggested they go on a road trip together, and Will can kind of get to know, I guess, this new incarnation of his friend, and
Yeah.
Harper can answer questions that Will has about the process and how Harper is different from the person he knew before.
Yeah, and so which is a really fascinating way to start this doc because yeah, it is a thing where it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I know we are good friends, but are we? How good of friends are we? And this is a good way to really kind of you know put that friendship to the test and really just test out how comfortable you truly are with each other, and then with this new development, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, yeah. Like a quote I wrote down, Harper said, "The biggest question I had was, will I still be loved?"
Mm. Yeah,
Because it's a big change. It's yeah.
it is. It is. I do like how they
Uh,
kind of go into that with.
have you? Yeah. Have you known people in your life who've transitioned? I assume you have.
Um, that's a good question. I've I've known a few people, but like they're not people that I know super well. Like there was one
Right.
person I knew who lived in, Montclair, not too far from where I live. I met once or twice with some
Mm-hmm.
other friends, and then later on I found out that they transitioned. Some friends of
Mm-hmm.
friends I knew that transitioned, but yeah, I don't believe. Do I? No, no, I don't think so. I don't know anybody like personally that has
Yeah,
gone through
there
that
was.
procedure.
I've known. I was thinking about this afternoon, and like there was somebody that I went to art school with who transitioned after we got out of art school. I wasn't really in touch with this person anymore. They went from Ron to Ronnie. I, to the best of my recollection, I only ran into them once after the transition, and honestly, I didn't recognize them at first. It was kind of like pointed out to me afterwards. It was like, oh, that was Ronnie. And I was like, oh, wow. I feel very rude because I didn't recognize them because they look so different.
Oh,
Um, and there's somebody at an old job of mine who transitioned. That was also a male to female transition.
oh
And
wow.
I remember they sent around an email about it, and they were just like, hey, this is a thing that's happening. I'm going to go by this name now. If you have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer them. And that was the sort of thing. And actually, there's somebody in the comic book world who just recently announced that they were transitioning. Um,
Oh wow.
the comic book writer Tony Isabella, who you may know as the creator of Black Lightning, the character Black Lightning, who was like DC Comics' first uh, black superhero to carry their own title, and they recently they recently announced that they were transitioning to Jenny, but they're still continuing to use the name Tony Isabella for some of their credits, and yeah, so it's an interesting thing. Yeah,
Oh wow. I did not know that. Huh.
yeah, yeah.
Fascinating.
So no, it's nobody that I was like super super close with, but there are people I've known in my life who have transitioned. Um,
Okay.
so yeah,
But
and I, from what I understand, it is such a big thing, and it is a very common thing for lots of people when they transition. They lose friendships, and they
yeah.
lose uh, they lose some of their close family members, and sometimes it's because of prejudice. Sometimes it's just, I think it's just because it's like too much for some people to deal with.
Yeah, but I do like how they introduce like Will into like where Will is
Mm-hmm.
like when he first hears the news, he's not put off by it, but at
No.
first it's shocking, but then he's like, "Oh, this is okay. This is," he still wants to know more about his friend. Like I think he even asked questions like, "Well, why did she choose the name Harper? How long has she felt like
Mm-hmm.
this? Does she
Right.
still like shitty beer?" Because they do make a point to mention that
Yeah.
Harper enjoys, natty lights and just that kind of, I guess, that the cheap redneck podunk beer. So like,
Yeah.
he was wondering like, is you know is I guess is this the same person I knew, and things like that. It's there's a
Yeah. Yeah. So they decide to go on this 16-day cross country road trip together. They meet up in New York, and they're driving out to California together, and they're just kind of going around, having adventures, meeting
mhm,
people, getting to know people, and they're also, and a lot of the movies just them talking, and Will Ferrell has questions about it, and Harper Steele is very cool about answering it, and yeah, I mean, I really liked this film. This was something else because it really, like, it lets you, if you're like a cisgender person, it kind of lets you discover the trans experience. Will Ferrell's like our audience surrogate
yeah, very
for
much
that.
so.
So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they have like interesting talks. Like at one point, they have breakfast at a diner with
mhm,
Harper's kids, and
yeah,
like how the whole transitioning affected them, and they seem to be really cool with it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think they said like, yeah, after the divorce, we knew something was up, and
Yeah.
there were more, and they said the kids were more worried about Harper's sort of mental health and her physical safety going out there during the trip,
Right.
because like because they do go to some deep red states, like they go to Oklahoma, Texas,
Yeah.
and so places that aren't the liberal bastion of us coastal elites and
Yeah.
whatnot. So
Yeah. True.
so there
True.
is so they were concerned about that, but other than that, like they're totally accepting of Harper, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, and they're like, he Harper is still our dad. They just use she her pronouns now,
Hmm.
but they're still Pop.
Yeah.
She's still Pop. And yeah, and like they show a little bit of the stuff that Harper has written. One of the credits that they give was they wrote "Oops, I crapped my pants."
Yeah, that was wild when I saw that. I was like, I love the hoop I crapped my pants.
Yeah, yeah, and Will Ferrell is like, yeah, a lot of the weirder projects I've done in my career is usually because Harper had something to do with them. Like, I that's why I did this entire movie in Spanish. That's why I did this thing. That's why, and
Yeah, the movie, yeah, like you said, I think it's called Casa de Mi Padre.
yeah,
That I've thought about bringing up for us to do in the podcast, but I was like, this might be too weird for John. I don't know if it's like this. And yeah, and then him and Chris and Wig did also a Lifetime movie,
yeah, yeah,
which is like, I remember when I saw a commercial for that, I was like, is this serious? What is
hmm
this? But I guess that just speaks to how much trust and and the love and friendship that Will has for Harper, where he's like, all right, my friend thinks this is funny, I think it's funny, let's do it.
yeah, yeah. And they start out their trip. Harper picks up Will Ferrell like on the side of the road somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's in the
In
Bronx or something.
yeah, yeah, and Will Ferrell's like, "Hey, do you remember this place? We went golfing here a few times." And he's like, "I still have my permit card." And I'm like, "Wait, you need a permit to play golf in New York?" I had no idea.
That I did not know. I thought you could just kind of do it wherever, but
I thought it was like I thought it's just like it's a game. It's you play it. I mean, you
yeah,
you go to a golf course and you play golf. You need a permit?
you need a
I don't get
volleyball.
that.
You need a volleyball permit too.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you need a permit to shoot hoops or something?
Yeah, what's
What
going?
what is so special about golf? You need a freaking permit for it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Will and Harper were on the same wavelength from the start, and they start the trip, and they go visit 30 Rock, and they go to the SNL studios, and we see them hugging Lorne.
I do. Yeah, I do like how I think when before they got there, Will
Yeah,
says to Harper, "Hey, when we see Lauren, let's just hug him for like way too long."
yeah. Let's just hug him for an uncomfortable period of time.
That is
Yeah,
funny. I will,
yeah.
unless
That's
you're,
that's a funny idea. They didn't seem to follow through with it from
yeah.
what we saw, but and then after that, they have like a lunch or a dinner with Tina Fey, Colin Jost,
Woo!
Paula Pell, Tim Meadows, and Seth Meyers.
Oh, the cool kids table.
Yeah, and they all talk about it. I mean, and so I guess there were a lot more SNL alums in this thing than I was expecting.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was kind of cool.
I dug that. I really like that. So like Paula Pell and Tim Meadows giving. I
Mhm.
like how Tim Meadows says, "Oh yeah, I got that email Harper sent about transitioning." At first, I thought it was a joke. I thought she was like pulling my chain or something.
Yeah, yeah. And he says, so I responded with like all the sexist, racist stuff I could, and then he finds out, oh no, it's not a joke. Okay,
Oops.
and but it was just so nice to see everybody just being so supportive and understanding, and they're also understandably curious, and they have their own questions and stuff. So
Yeah, it was a nice little bonding moment, and of course, Harper tells them what they plan on doing. They're gonna go to
hmm
DC. They're gonna go to Indiana to see a Pacers game,
hmm
and I think they're gonna check like some place in Oklahoma and whatnot. So they were
yeah,
like,
and they're along the way they're going to go to as many shitty bars and truck stops as they can.
yeah. So I think they were like, ooh, okay, be careful out there
Yeah, yeah.
because yeah, I mean there was. well, we'll get to it, but there was that one bar they went into where I was like, oh no, oh boy.
Yeah,
I would not go into that bar.
But like, as they're starting out on the trip, Will Ferrell says like, "Okay, I'm narcoleptic and I'm not a good driver." And Will Ferrell, sometimes you're not entirely sure if he's joking or not. I have no idea if the man's actually narcoleptic or not, but
who can tell?
Who can tell? I mean, he never spontaneously falls asleep in this thing that I saw, but who knows? And Will Ferrell like asks him some questions about like, well, how'd you come up with the new name of Harper? Because your original name was Andrew, and Harper very plainly says, my dead name's Andrew. Like for most of my life, my whole life I was performing as a character named Andrew, and when she transitioned, she said, I considered Angie just to make the transition easy for people, but he said, I think he said when he was on his when she was on her way to her first electrolysis appointment, she thought about it, and the name Angie just sounded like wet cardboard to me.
Angie Steele.
Yeah, it doesn't have a great ring to it. Harper Steele has a much better ring, and Harper's mother went to school with Harper Lee, the author of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, that's wild.
And she says, like, as soon as she thought of it, she felt comfortable, and yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's, a lot. There's a lot in a person's name that, like, I think, like, I even liked how Will Ferrell talked about how, like, my full name is John William Ferrell. Like, my first name is John, which that shocked me. I was like, what? You're John Ferrell?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Will Ferrell sounds better. It's like how I felt when I found out Paul McCartney was actually James Paul McCartney.
Right.
That blew my mind too.
Yeah. That's well, when you know somebody is one thing, anything else like sounds wrong, at least at first. But you can get used to it.
Yeah.
So
Walter Bruce Willis.
Is that Bruce Willis's original first name?
That's his original first name. He's Walter.
Well, I know that Michael Keaton, his birth name is actually Michael Douglas.
Yes.
As far as I know, I think that's still his legal name, but of course, because there's a very famous Michael Douglas.
Not familiar.
He started working under the name Michael Keaton, so that's what everybody knows him as.
Yeah, he just picked the name out the phone book, like just random.
Yeah.
That's wild that it worked out though. And I think I know. What's another one I know? William Brad Pitt. I think I know. Like his first name is William, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh.
Yep.
You know what? I forget what Dirk Benedict's original last name was, but he got the name Benedict off like a restaurant menu. He was like, I ordered eggs Benedict and I liked them so much I made them my name.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
I'm Darren Pizza Pie.
Yeah.
I like a good pizza pie.
So, yeah, the world is filled with people who, for whatever reason, have changed their names, or they have a name that they prefer, or like a nickname that you like or dislike, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Natalie Portman is actually like Natalie Hirschlag or something like that.
Oh, yeah. There's like Alison Brie is Alison Brie Schmenderhorn.
Oh, really?
And wow. Yeah, Brie is like her middle name. And I don't, and in most of these cases, I have no idea if these people actually legally change their names or if that's just the professional names they go by. But yeah.
Okay. Well, the more you know.
But anyway, they go to Washington, D.C. They go to the White House. At one point, Will Ferrell's saying like, yeah, we're going to go in. We're going to meet Joe Biden. And Harper's like, well, how are we going to get in? And Will Ferrell just like gestures to his face. The old moneymaker right here.
The old mug. That'll help out.
But they don't get past the front gates.
What?
Unless you're Elvis Presley, I don't think you can really get into the White House without a prior appointment or something.
Will Ferrell should have dressed as Elvis Presley, and then he would have gotten in. Work smarter, not harder.
And Harper says, like, for years I crossed this country in a dress, but I didn't want anyone to see me. And they were like, she was terrified, like when she had to stop and get gas, or terrified that she'd be pulled over by a cop and she'd be in a dress. But that was how she was most comfortable. So
Yeah, no, it's wild. I mean, we also get into, I guess Harper also started journaling, and
Mm-hmm.
she reads from her journal. She told one heartbreaking story about how she was going to a therapist about all the feelings she was having about,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be a girl instead of a boy, and the therapist kind of dismissed that idea and kind of beat it out of
Yeah.
her. Like that was like, I was like, what kind of therapist does that? What the fuck?
Well,
That
I
was
mean,
so fucked up.
it just shows that even like with therapists, there was a learning curve. Like later, much later in the film, when they're at the Grand Canyon, they
Mm,
meet a therapist who is talking to them, and the therapist like asks Harper, like, "Hey, when did you like? How long was this kind of in the works for you? How long have you wanted to do this? How long were you thinking about this?" And and the therapist says, like, "Yeah, I had a patient who." Who wanted to transition or had these feelings that they were like a woman trapped in a man's body and and oh god, I'm trying to find my notes because it was much later in the movie. um and and she said I was very close-minded about it, and I know that I was a blockade in that person's life. And
yeah.
wow, I mean, it just shows that even therapists have had a learning curve about this sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean everybody's fallible. Everybody's trying to
Mm-hmm.
just do their best, and because everything's
Yeah.
in this world is just changing at a rapid rate. Which we see when they stop. I believe they're in Indiana somewhere where they stop at a Walmart to get like Pringles and Natty Light, and then
Yeah.
they just set up some beach chairs in the parking lot. Like,
Yeah, they get stacks. They drink some beers. They're smoking some cigars, or at least Will Ferrell is, and they're talking about it. And
yeah, I think at one
Will,
point, Harper says like, "Well, what were you worried about how to talk to me when I came out?" And Will Ferrell says, "Well, he's probably a little nervous, but he just wanted to know what the new ground rules were."
right?
And she just said, "Hey, there are no ground rules. I know what you say doesn't come from a bad place. So I
Yeah.
know and I think that's the big thing with this film, like the saving grace, where like Harper's like, I know everything you're saying, and all the questions aren't coming from like a place of hatred or
Hmm.
judging. You're just naturally curious. Like, you're coming from a good place. So
Yeah.
because I know that, you please ask me anything you want so we can come together closer as friends." And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
nice.
And that shows a great deal of understanding on her part. And yeah. And I mean, really, this film's just about these two people trying to come to a better understanding of each other, and I really
Mm.
liked it in that regard.
Yeah, no.
Um, I
Yeah.
also love the idea of like when you're taking a road trip, you take along a couple chairs so you can just set up somewhere where if you just stop somewhere and you want to just sit for a while. I was like, I love that idea. That's awesome.
It makes good sense. I got two folding chairs in the back of my car right now. Because
Awesome.
I mean, I usually do it like, when me and my friends, go to the beach or hang out in the
Hmm.
park. I definitely use them quite a bit during the pandemic, and we were all meeting out in parks outdoors. Like, those chairs came in real handy. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. If you guys have got a car, throw some folding chairs in there. You never know.
That's right. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
always go on an adventure.
Yes.
Um, and let's see, we got yeah, when they get to Indiana, we see them in another diner. Harper is misgendered by the waitress
Yeah,
there.
I believe they're in a Waffle House.
Yeah, and the waitress calls Harper sir and just
Yep.
quickly corrects him, and the waitress adjusts him. And they go to a Pacer Sixers game,
Mm.
and Will Ferrell is kind of running point here. It makes it easier because like there are certain places that Harper's like very nervous about going to, like post transition, because she
Right.
doesn't know if she's going to be received in the same way.
Yeah, I think they made a point about that too. I think they said like it's good to have Will Ferrell with her because
Right.
it's Will Ferrell. Everybody knows Will Ferrell. Everybody loves Will Ferrell. He's like, hey, that guy.
Yeah.
So like when Will Ferrell brings out traveling with Harper, she probably won't be met with as much derision as she
Or
might have been,
animosity
or
or
animosity.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like people. see, oh, Will Ferrell, they're automatically in a good mood. So like whoever is with Will Ferrell, they're cool with.
But I think they also acknowledge that Harper is in some ways having an easier time of it because she's with Will Ferrell much of the
Yes,
time.
absolutely.
And there are a couple times when Harper's like, "Hey, I got to go in and do this by myself,"
Right.
and
Yes.
and Will Harper and Will Ferrell is like hanging back, and he's like, "Okay, here if you need me."
Right. No, that's it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and Will Ferrell, because the famous guy, he's like, they have him talking, and he's like on the jumbotron at the game, and he tries to introduce Harper to the crowd, but he's like cut off,
Oh.
and it's a little unclear if it's like bad timing or if it's like something else going on.
Oh yeah.
Did you get that feeling?
No, I must have missed that. I saw the point where he was talking to the governor of Indiana,
Yeah,
Eric
yeah. Well,
Holcomb.
I mean, like Will Ferrell's like addressing the crowd, and he's like, "Hey, everybody!" And he's like, "Who loves the Pacers? Who hates the Sixers?" And and then he tries to he's like, "Hey, I'm here with my friend Harper. She just transitioned," and then they're like, "Oh, you're not on anymore."
Oh wow, I must have missed that.
And the timing, it's a little
Hmm.
oblique if like he was intentionally cut off, or if it was just like, "Oh, we're done with Will Ferrell," and he just got to that too late.
Oh,
But
you don't know if like they heard the word transition and they're like, oh nope.
yeah, I don't know. It seemed like they cut him off before he said the word transition, but it's slightly suspicious. So I don't know. I don't know what to think.
They heard the
Um,
word trans and they were like, nope, that's enough, and they just unplugged it.
yeah, yeah. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, they meet the Indiana governor Eric Holcomb, who they find out later had apparently just recently signed a bill banning gender affirming care.
For minors, yeah.
Yeah, and and as they're driving to their next destination the next day, Will's like, "You know what? I feel bad that I didn't confront the governor more
Yeah,
about that."
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, I don't think he knew about
Mm-hmm.
that. It's I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm of two minds of it. Whereas, like, yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that, like, you should have pushed, but then you'd have to have known that he did that. And
yeah,
whereas, like, if you just see, like, oh, hey, that's the governor. Okay, hey, man, and like, like, I guess you're all just all kind of caught
yeah.
up in
And
the
if you
moment.
don't live in Indiana, you don't necessarily know that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
you
know
know,
Indiana politics like that.
Yeah, yeah. I went to college in Indiana. I didn't know about that. And Harper again, very understanding, saying something like, "Hey, I know about being in the photo you don't want to be in," and like there are, hell, I'm sure there are people out there who, you met somebody heinous at some event, and they're like, "Hey, can we take a quick picture?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure," and you have no idea who that person is, and like years later, it's like, I don't know,
Oh,
Jeffrey Epstein or somebody.
yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
then now suddenly because you're in a picture with them, it looks like, oh, hey,
mm,
we were good friends, and I
yeah.
love everything this person does. Yay!
Oh no. Oh, my political
Yeah,
career is ruined.
I mean that's that's a problem that's like kind of unique to celebrities, I think.
I think
So
so. Yeah, like I mean, luckily we don't run into celebrities too much in like ordinary
other
folks like us.
celebrities, you mean?
Yes, other celeb. Of course we're the creme de la creme, but
Yeah, yeah.
we don't
I mean
meet
that's
other
why I don't go places, not because I'm
yeah,
introverted and shy. It's because I'm
because of the
so
papa.
super famous. I get mobbed everywhere I
Yes,
go.
the paparazzi. They're everywhere. They won't leave me be.
No, no, it's just I'm just always shaking my fist at them and like, let me live in peace, you animals.
Yes, I wear my sunglasses and a scarf around my head,
Right.
like Hedy Lamar. Get away, you beast! I just want my privacy.
I just want to be alone.
Exactly. Smoking cigarette out of a long holster.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Um.
Yeah. So then they go to Peoria, Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
to meet up with Dana Garber, who transitioned later in life and is
Yeah.
deeply involved with the Peoria trans community. Um,
Yeah.
I thought this was a very lovely scene here with because like Dana is Dana came out at 55 and transitioned
Mm-hmm.
at 65, so
I thought they said they transitioned to at 55.
Oh, I wrote Dana came out to the family at 55 and transitioned at 65. I could be wrong.
Okay, well maybe yeah. Obviously, one of us got that wrong when we were taking notes. I don't know which one, but anyway, yeah. But Harper is 61 and just had recently undergone this process, like I think a year and a half before they did this doc. They said, and they talk about their experiences with like bad therapists, and Harper talks about how that she felt so much more comfortable after she got her first estrogen pill. I mean, because it's like a long process to do this, and there's many steps along the way, and it's not like idiots on the right are like, oh, you go off to school and they perform a gender transition on you at school that day. And it's like, no, they don't. That's fucking bullshit. They don't. They won't. They can't even give your kid aspirin without the parents' permission.
Exactly.
You think they're performing gender transition at elementary schools? No.
Yeah, like people act like, oh, just doing this thing it's like a quick thing, like you're tuning up a car. It's like no.
Yeah.
And it's a long, arduous process that taxes people mentally sometimes, and like don't
mentally, and I'm sure physically.
Yeah.
Because you're taking all these hormone treatments and doing this, and there's like surgical processes, and it's not like a in-out outpatient surgery thing. It's like there's very many stages in it, and like at one point, Will Ferrell's like asks Harper's like, "Whoa, hey, how do you like having boobs?" And Harper talks about her feelings about that and how she hasn't had the bottom surgery yet. Isn't sure if that's something she wants to do.
Yeah, the fact that Will asks that question and Harper just gives a straightforward answer. It's like that, because that is like a question where I'd be like, oh, that might be overstepping some boundaries.
I'd be very nervous to ask that question unless it was somebody I knew very, very well and was very, very close to. But like Harper said, I know none of your questions have ill will behind them, and she stood by her word. That was terrific.
Yeah, terrific. So at the end, Dana and the rest of them go to a karaoke bar, sing "I Got You, Babe." And you see Harper and Will sort of being a part of the trans community for a little bit, like a little.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. Harper and Dana, they kind of bond over their shared experiences, and they both say that they dislike that they still have like low male voices.
Yeah.
And one of them, I didn't write down which one of them said this, but they said a lot of transitioning is learning to accept yourself. And I mean, this movie was something else, man. This was really great.
It's a wild ride.
Yeah.
Ups, downs, highs, lows. A theme song written by Kristen Wiig, who they reach out to at one point.
Yeah. They were like, we should have a theme song for our road trip. And they discuss who they're going to reach out. Should it be Fred Armisen? Should it be Will Forte? Should it be Molly Shannon? They finally decided to reach out to Kristen Wiig to have her come up with a theme song. They're like, we want it to be jazzy and up-tempo, but also make you cry.
Yeah, gotta bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah, and Kristen Wiig's like, okay, let me work on this. I'll get back to you. And this is on like day 8 of the trip, so she has about a week to do this.
That's right. A week to write a song. You can do that. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
Bang that out overnight.
And when they get to Iowa, they stay with Harper's sister Eleanor. And Will asks her, like, "Hey, what was your reaction when you found out about this?" And she said her main reaction was sorrow over how much pain Harper had suffered over the years.
Right. Then we also hear that story about Harper with the white bell-bottom pants that he really liked to wear, and she really enjoyed wearing the bell-bottom pants.
It was a pair of hand-me-downs that he got from his sister Eleanor. They were like these white bell-bottoms, and I guess they were sort of female in style.
Right. Exactly. And then she went out with them with some friends. Kind of. She was really loving it, and then one of the friends ended up calling the pants
F-slurred.
F-slur. Yeah. That's how we'll say it.
Don't wear those F-slur pants.
Yes.
So,
and she never wore them again.
Yeah, which I mean, that's just a shame, you know, and really like just thoughtless comments like that can stay with you.
It is. I mean, you could say, well, they're just kids, and kids don't really know better at that age. They're just kind of talking and shit, but still, it still hurts and it still sucks.
Yeah, yeah. But there was something else that Harper's sister Eleanor said, where she said, like, when she first got the email from Harper and announcing that they were transitioning, Eleanor said, it's important to respond quickly. Don't like overthink your response and be like, oh, I had to say the perfect thing. Just like respond quickly and let them know, you know, give them like a positive reaction, show them support. You can like tailor it later.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. That was a cool thing to say. That's like good pragmatic advice, I thought.
I would say so. Here. I'm with that.
Yeah.
I also liked how Will Ferrell offered Eleanor some of the mini Pringles that they got from the Walmart, and I think she even said, "Yeah, you got these from Indiana, right? They taste different."
Yeah, Indiana Pringles, they have their own taste, I guess.
I was like, no, they don't. Come on.
Yeah, they don't. And what was like the really spicy Pringles that they got? I didn't write down the name of that, but Eleanor was like, no, I don't think I want to try that. And she settles for like the sour cream and onion Pringles.
Yeah, it's like flaming hot wackadoo barbecue Cabo Wabo. I don't know what they named these Pringles.
That was it exactly. Flaming hot wackadoo Cabo Wabo Pringles.
Yeah.
And if that was it exactly. Nailed it, Darren.
Pringles.
Nailed it.
Pringles people, you're welcome. I just gave you your flavor for the summer. You're welcome. And then they go through some of Harper's old childhood photos. They see that she used to ride a unicycle as a kid, which is, well, I don't know anybody that rides a unicycle. That's an interesting choice of.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you hear that, and that's such an odd, unusual detail. It's like, well, no wonder Harper grew up to become a comedy writer.
Yeah,
like they were riding a unicycle to school. That's not the typical kid thing to do, because like usually in middle school, high school, you're terrified of being different in any way.
Yeah, you want to. Yeah.
And Harper was comfortable enough in her own skin to just like ride a unicycle. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty rad. I will give it to that. Yeah. And then when they go outside to the house that Harper grew up in, some kid on a unicycle just unicycles on by. I'm like, is Iowa like this big? Is there like a big unicycle community in Iowa that we don't know about?
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this was some sort of setup or what. It seems like a little too big of a coincidence that a kid in a unicycle just happens to be riding by, but who knows?
Yeah, I call this is like reality TV show shenanigans here.
It could be. It's in the realm of acceptability. I mean, because look, if you're a documentary filmmaker, one of your subjects says, "I used to ride a unicycle," you probably want to get them on a unicycle before the end of the film, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
yeah, it's like the Chekhov's gun. You know, if someone, say, to pick a totally random example, packs a Sherlock Holmes costume when they're preparing for a road trip, someone's going to be wearing that Sherlock Holmes outfit before the end of the movie.
Ooh, foreshadowing.
But there was another quote from Harper in the car that kind of jumped out to me.
What's that?
Where after Will Ferrell makes a joke, the Nordstrom's joke.
Oh, Nordstrom track, yeah.
Yeah. And Harper says, "I hate analyzing comedy because it kind of ruins it." And I was like, oh, well, fuck me then. What have we been doing on this podcast for the last 6.5 years?
God. I've wasted my life. Oh, God.
Is that why we have so much trouble getting people from the show on?
It might be. Listeners, call in. Let us know. What's going on?
Are we overly analytical of comedy? I don't know.
I'm having fun.
I'm having fun, too.
I'm having fun. So then they go on the road. We see them buying doing their laundry at a few laundry spots. And then I think at one point Harper wants to go into this like little rinky-dink podunk bar in Oklahoma,
Yeah,
and
Meeker, Oklahoma.
Meeker,
Yeah.
Oklahoma, and this is the one where she decides to go in by herself, and
Right.
she's a little nervous and anxious
Mm-hmm.
because this is the type of bar she would have gone into before.
And wouldn't have gotten a second look
Yeah, would have gotten a
when
second
she
look,
was still Andrew.
and but
But
yes,
now it's a very different thing.
yeah, and she said like, I'll go in by myself, and you wait in the car. If I need you, I'll call you. And
Right.
Will's
I'll
like,
put you on speed dial. So like
yes,
Will Ferrell's like kind of hanging back. He's like almost like Calvary. So it's like if the situation gets heated or uncomfortable or something, Will come in and rescue his friend. And when we go in, we see like hanging in the bar, they've got like Trump and fuck Biden flags. So
oh,
you know where you are.
you know where you are.
Yeah.
Oof. I will admit I was a little nervous for her at this
Mm-hmm.
point because I was like, this, yikes, this might, I've
Yeah.
this, how is this going to go down? Like I'm feeling the tension that she feels.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't know how it's going. But she Harper talks to the bar patrons. She explains her transitioning to people, and like after a certain point, Harper just calls Will to invite him in because it's like people seem generally cool
Yeah, they seem all
with
right
him,
with it.
and they do have a generally pleasant experience, especially after like Will Ferrell, famous person, comes in.
Yeah, that's when everybody goes like, "Hey, Will!" Like
Yeah.
he Will Ferrell, like he has this thing where he's just like the mood lightens up whenever he
Mm-hmm.
walks into the room. Where, like, yeah,
Yeah.
like you said, like suddenly it's not as tense. And everybody's like, "Hey, hey, it's Will, our good friend Will," and like
Mm-hmm.
suddenly everybody's cool. Even at the time where another guy misgenders Harper, accidentally calls her bro, uh, but even then he's like kind of,
But Harper corrects him quickly,
yeah.
and the guy seems to roll with it.
Yeah, I think he even mentions like, oh, he even tells Will like, oh, it's nice that you support your friend. I have a friend too who's like bi, and
Mm-hmm.
I support him even though it's tough or something like that. And so it's like,
Yeah, not exactly the same thing, but they're,
yeah,
they're trying to relate.
they're trying, they're trying.
So I appreciate the effort. I did. Okay, maybe this is just like my natural cynicism coming through. I did kind of wonder if after they left and after the cameras were gone, if like some of those people might have said hurtful things once
Uh,
they were out of the bar. And you
hmm,
can't really know. I mean, because look, I mean, having a celebrity there changes the dynamic. Having cameras there really changes the dynamic.
yeah. Once
So
once people have a camera on them, it becomes a performance. They're
yeah,
not their real selves.
and you wonder like were they being really accepting or were they just like biting their tongues and putting on their party manners because there was a camera there? I don't know,
Mm,
and you can't know because
yeah,
it's
like
yeah. I mean, I forget. There's some name for this scientific phenomenon where like even the act of watching something changes the thing you're watching.
oh,
You know, but
okay, yeah, I've never heard of that, but I'll
I
check
don't
it
I
out.
don't I don't I don't remember the name of it, and I since I don't remember the name, I can't look up the name. But that is a thing.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
So yeah.
All right, but yeah, it actually turned out to be a fairly pleasant
Mm-hmm.
experience in this bar that you'd think would be kind of like a problem, but it's not.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah. And then
we see them go to a race car, watch some stock car racing.
yeah. Now I'm assuming that wasn't a NASCAR thing because like NASCAR's during the day, right?
Yeah, that was some other. They were kind of like driving in dirt roads in a
Uh
circle
huh.
type of thing. I think that's called stock car racing. I don't,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not a
I haven't
sports
seen
man.
a lot of nighttime racing events, so I was just like, okay, I don't know what the deal is here, but Harper seems to know about it.
Yeah,
There was one person who like just outright asked Harper like, "Are you happier?" And Harper's like, "Yeah, I'm 100% happier
yeah,
having done this." That was really cool.
yeah. And the person's like, all right, cool. Then you just keep coming out, man. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, Harper.
Yeah. Like if you enjoy this, come out and they were really accepting, and it reminded me of this. In the first Men in Black movie, Tommy Lee Jones has this great monologue where Will Smith's character is saying like oh, you should tell people that aliens exist. People could handle it. And he's like, no, like a person is smart, but people are dumb, panicky animals, and you know it. And so it's like if you catch people one on one, they can usually exceed your expectations. But it's like when you get that mob mentality, that's when it gets dangerous, you know?
And that's how we change the world. We talk to one person at a time, one on one for an hour. We do that for each person everywhere, all across the country, and we should have everything fixed by like Monday.
Right. Yes.
Yes.
I don't see a thing wrong with this plan.
Nope.
But
Flawless plan.
uh,
But the fact that like everybody in these towns have been so welcoming actually kind of shocks Harper, and she like starts to cry a little bit because which makes Will cry.
Like another quote that jumped out at me was Harper says, "I'm not afraid of these people. I'm afraid of hating myself." Which, wow. I mean, like I as a person, I've always felt comfortable being the gender that I am and all that. So
yeah. Same.
I can't quite relate to the body dysmorphia aspect of it, but I certainly relate to like not feeling comfortable in your own skin. I think everybody's felt that at some point in their lives. And to be feeling that way about something as basic as your gender.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just got to be so stressful and so draining and so.
Yeah, it's just got to be just taxing on your mind and just.
Yeah.
I mean,
and your spirit and.
Yeah. Like, I mean, my heart goes out to people who just don't have somebody to kind of share that with and lean on, because like I can't imagine going through something like that alone.
Or even if you feel in your heart of hearts like I am not the gender I'm supposed to be, and you don't have the money or the resources or the opportunities or whatever to make that transition, because I'm sure this is like a super expensive process, and I have no idea how much of it is typically covered by insurance. I'm sure that varies from state to state.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole.
But I mean, you wouldn't do this unless you were super, super serious about it, and you knew in your heart of hearts it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, this isn't something you do on a whim. This is something you've done. You do after years of thinking about it and praying on it and all that stuff, and like this isn't something you just do flippantly.
Right. It's a big, major, serious thing, and at this movie, if the act of them going on this road trip and then making this movie, if this changes even like a few minds about that, or if they're like, hey, I think I understand the trans community a little better now. I mean, I think that's great. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think.
Did you see that there was a story in the news this week? There was some older guy who went out to a town hall meeting or something to speak out against some sort of trans legislation, and then he like talked to a trans person for a while when he was waiting to go in, and he like changed his mind about it.
I did not hear about this. What?
Yeah, this is I didn't read the full article, so I can't give you like a nuanced thing. I really just gleaned the headline, but I was like, that sounds really cool. That's awesome.
I mean, I think that's it. Like, I think what the way the world is now and all the horrible things that are being done to trans people, like no one's listening to. I don't think anybody's listening to anybody nowadays. It's just like people who don't quite understand trans people are just getting their news about them from the right, and people who want to keep on fanning the flames of fear and fear mongering and whatnot.
Well, it's also just it's so scary to see them become so demonized as of late. Like, and as we're recording this, we're literally like 2 months into the second Trump administration. Yes, that says it all. And there's so much demonization of the trans community in particular, because I guess because like they can't really get away with doing it the way they used to with gay people, even though they're trying to do that too. They'd love to roll the clock back even further, but the trans community is like a convenient scapegoat. But it's like, look, the people plotting against you and trying to change the system of government. To do that shit, you need to have power, and there is no group in the country right now who is more powerless and marginalized than the trans community.
Yeah, but I mean, people in power have always been doing this. They always pick on or blame everything on like a small marginalized group
Mm-hmm.
that they know can't fight back, and like a
Yeah,
group of people that maybe a lot of Americans maybe don't understand or don't want to understand, and just
yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, it's black people's fault, it's gay people's
yeah.
fault,
I
it's
mean,
all,
60 or 70 years ago, they would have been like saying this shit about black people.
yeah. And like,
And
yeah, while like you blame all the problems on the minority, the
mhm.
wealthy, the wealthy bigwigs are just kind of doing whatever they want, taking your money, and you don't even say anything about it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Wow, shit's getting real here on this podcast. Holy moly!
Well, yeah, yeah. Um, are we making this movie seem heavier than it is? It is. I
I
mean, it does deal with some heavy stuff, but it is also a very funny and endearing movie too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's funny stuff here to be had. Like when
Yeah.
they go to Amarillo, Texas,
Uh
and
huh.
because they go into a steakhouse where they find out there's this steak challenge called the Big Texan, where you have to eat a 72-ounce steak in 1 hour. Like that movie, The Great Outdoors, like that.
Did they do that in The Great Outdoors? I never saw that one. So.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a big scene where, like, I think John Candy has to eat this big ass steak so his family can eat for free, and
Okay.
including the
Okay.
grizzle, and it's
Yeah,
it's a
I
whole
don't think
thing.
they even say what the prize is. It's just the challenge. You
Yeah,
beat you have to eat a 72-ounce steak
it's the
within
prize.
an hour's time.
The
Which,
yeah the prize.
my God.
Yeah, the prize is the pride of a job well done.
And Will Ferrell's like, I don't know if I could do this, but I bet Sherlock Holmes can. And he pulls out the Sherlock Holmes costume that we see him packing early in the film, and I'm like, okay, so this applies a couple. One, he apparently kept one of his costumes from the Holmes and Watson movie that he did with John C. Reilly a few
Why?
years
Yeah,
back, which we have covered on the podcast, by the way.
we hear like, why would you cover? Why would you hold on to anything from that movie? Just burn it all.
Well, I mean, I guess regardless of how the movie turned out, maybe it was still a good experience, and he wanted a souvenir from it
All
or
right,
something.
fair, fair
I
enough.
don't know how typically actors keep their costumes from their movies. Maybe that's a regular thing. I don't know. Um, I know a lot of the Marvel actors seem to make a lot of hospital visits in their Marvel superhero costumes. So,
Ooh, nice.
although I do have to object to one thing, I would not be a good Holmesian if I did not point this out.
Kick it.
Will Ferrell says that Holmes is a private detective at some point. Sherlock Holmes was not a private detective. He was a consulting detective. He would be the person that the police consulted when they got in and out of their depth.
Yes.
But
Get right.
he also had clients who came to him, so I guess he's technically a private detective too. But he always called himself a consulting detective.
If you want to split hairs, I guess.
I do. That is why I'm a Holmesian.
This is why I do it.
What is the point of us having a show with nerds in the title if we can't get pedantic about this shit?
Fair enough, old friend.
But yeah, and they after this, they show. I think Will Ferrell's intention was to maybe take some of the heat off of Harper.
Yeah,
A bit
yeah,
by attracting attention to himself.
yeah. I think he was trying to do something like that. But of course, like when they bring over the steak, everybody in the place is like gets their phones out and takes pictures, and of course,
Right.
puts it all up on social media, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
then they on their way out of the restaurant. They never say if he finished the steak or not. But like,
I know that bugged me too. I was like, I want to know if he finished the steak. Tell me if he finished the steak or if he didn't finish the steak. I don't care either way.
like,
That's fine. Still love you either way, Will Ferrell. But let me know.
yeah, how much of it did you do? Like half of it, quarter?
Yeah, I don't know, because that's a lot. That's a lot of meat in one sitting.
Yeah, it's an obscene amount of meat.
That is. I mean, like a 24-ounce steak is a big steak.
Oof, yeah.
So
that
is 48 ounces more. That's like 3 times.
Oh yeah. Oh, that toilet is getting nice and clogged up.
Yeah. But they show like a series of insulting tweets from people who like commented on that, and
a lot of fucked up shit.
And they're talking about it in the car the next day, And Harper's like, yeah, that the room started to feel wrong to me. And Will Ferrell actually starts to cry because he feels like he let Harper down.
Yeah, like Harper basically said he felt like her, like, I guess her transness was on display. Like she was,
Yeah.
like she was like in a zoo or something, and it was gross. And it
Yeah.
like Will Ferrell, like you said, he starts to cry because he did not mean for that to happen. And
Right. And he feels like he let his friend down, and he wasn't trying to make Harper a target, but that's kind of what he inadvertently did.
yeah, like he was trying to show, hey, this is my good friend Harper, and she
Mm-hmm.
transitioned. But people on the Twitter and the internet, they say horrible shit. I think at one point
Yeah.
somebody said, "Oh, Will Ferrell's here, a satanic Illuminati pedophile in Iowa." I was like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people say
And
fucked up shit on the internet. Just
well, especially on the internet where you can do it relatively anonymously, and you can say all this shit that you never have the guts to say to somebody's face.
yeah, it's yeah,
Not that that's a gutsy thing to do, but
yeah, it's
doing it on the internet's an even more cowardly way to do it, I
it is.
suppose.
You're all cowards. You hear me, cowards?
Yeah.
But I mean, the talk does get dark. I think at one point Will even asked, "Hey, did you ever think about, you know, and taking
mhm.
your own life at some point?" I think Harper goes into the story
Yeah.
about how she did. She was like 6 years ago. Like she
Went to buy a
went to
gun
buy a
at a
gun.
gun store, and they were asking like, "Oh, do you want this for security? Do you want this for protection?" And Harper's like, and I knew nothing about guns, and basically like said like, "Oh, I'll decide later." And she says, and I was very glad I didn't have that because you don't want that temptation around.
No, you do
Um,
not.
no, because you don't. If you're in a dark place and you start feeling suicidal, yeah, that having a gun there could
That's
seem really tempting. And
yeah.
and like earlier, like Harper shrugs off a lot of the mean tweets and says like when you're trans, you ingest a lot of that shit and it's in your head.
Mm,
And
mm.
it's so much to live with, and it's just you got to have such strength of character to do this,
You
to
really
to
do.
to transition and just put up with all the fucking grief you get and all the stupid assumptions and the stupid questions and
Ugh.
the ugh.
Gugh! People
Yeah.
suck.
But Harper said like the moment I transitioned, all I wanted to do was live,
Yeah, so it's
which is and that's just beautiful, man.
it really is. I'm so glad that she did that. And then on the road trip, they stop in New Mexico. They meet up
Mm-hmm.
with Mr. Will Forte, and they go up in a
Right.
hot air balloon.
Yeah, we just ran 3/4 of the way to the movie. We're in a random hot air balloon ride with Will Forte.
Yeah, up and
And
away.
Will Forte was like, "Yeah, I was working on MacGruber. I assume he means the TV show uh, here in New Mexico when I found out that Harper was transitioning 1 year before." And it's honestly it's so touching to see so many of Harper's SNL friends and coworkers being so damn supportive. That's awesome.
It's pretty fantastic. It's really
Yeah.
wonderful. I did like the part where Will Forte tried to open his champagne bottle to
Uh
like
huh.
celebrate
Yeah.
Harper, and like it just ended up kind of just doing this weak little pop. Like
It takes forever to open it, and then it's just like it's the biggest anticlimax. Yeah.
that's genuinely hilarious to me.
Yeah. I also liked like a little later on to the trip, they're in Arizona. Will Ferrell's like, "Oh, hey, there's a Dunkin' Donuts. Let's go to a Dunkin' Donuts." And Harper's like, "No, I don't want to go to Dunkin' Donuts." And Will Ferrell starts like pouting like a child.
Yeah,
And he's just like, "Oh, we've done nothing worthwhile on this trip.
this trip sucks.
This trip sucks.
Did nothing.
We haven't done anything. I want to go to Dunkin' Donuts."
It's just
And honestly, I thought, wait a minute. Aren't they just Dunkin' now?
they are. I think now they are, but
So we're like dead naming Dunkin' Donuts now.
ooh, I didn't even think of that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what? I'm totally fine with like dead naming corporations.
Yeah, fuck that noise.
It's not X, it's Twitter, it's not HBO Max, it's not Max, it's HBO Max.
Yeah.
It's still Facebook, it's not Meta. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever a corporation tries to pull that shit, I'm just like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, eat my balls. And plus,
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts ain't even that great.
Yeah, they're fine. They're good once in a while.
I don't know.
I mean, they're no Krispy Kreme,
Yeah,
but
now you're talking Krispy Kreme all day.
Yeah, but I was thinking about it. I think the last corporation where I really accepted the name change was when Kentucky Fried Chicken went to KFC.
I think, yeah. I don't even know if kids today know that they used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think they're just always oh yeah, it's KFC. All right.
Well, I mean, it's been KFC. I remember Dennis Miller doing a joke about it transitioning to KFC and on Weekend Update. So that means it happened sometime in the late '80s or early '90s. So.
Have you heard this? Kentucky Fried Chicken is going to be
KFC. Come on, guys, it's chicken.
Okay.
KFC.
KFC you later, all right, babe?
And it seemed kind of dumb at the time, but now they're just KFC. See, like if you can call Kentucky Fried Chicken by its chosen name, you can call people by their chosen names.
You call it, you folks still call it IHOP. It's not. It's also House of Pancakes.
Right.
Come on. Get on board.
Right.
So then they go to the Grand Canyon, and that's where they met the therapist that you mentioned earlier.
The retired therapist. That was a really affecting scene.
Yeah, that was really great.
That was, I mean, and I love the way that the therapist just kind of like gingerly opened the topic, just like asking Harper about herself. And then just her saying, I knew I was a blockade in that person's life. It's just, wow. So this is obviously something that's like stayed with her for years.
I mean, I can imagine so. Like, it's one of the things where, like, if you're somebody who's caring and reflective about things you've done, you're like, and you just think about what you've said in the past, and you have a little bit more knowledge as you get older, and you're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I didn't handle that well. Fuck. I fucked that one up.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But
I really think life is just kind of like this continuous process of like finding out what an asshole you were. It could be like 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 5 hours ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But if you find out you're an asshole and you're like, oh shit, I wish I hadn't done that, then you try to just repair that mistake and do better going forward.
You learn from it and you move on. That's.
Yeah,
you be a human
that's
being.
all any of us can do, and make amends if you can.
Yeah, show empathy, have a soul, show some heart, and continue on, and just do good. Be good. Be better. Be best.
Yes.
Okay. So from there they go on to, they go to Vegas, of course. They go to Las Vegas.
They go to Vegas. We see them in like a hotel. And they're swimming, and it's kind of a big thing for Harper because it's like her first time swimming in a public place. It's a transition.
Yes, they go to a Comfort Inn.
Yeah. And Will Ferrell, as a joke, he takes off his swim trunks and he's got like a Speedo on underneath.
Hot.
and Will Ferrell, like he's getting really real, and he's saying like, I've stripped down a lot for comedy roles and sketches and things like that, but I'm actually like kind of a fairly modest person in real life. I don't really like putting my body on display, especially since I'm a middle-aged dude now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like that shows Will Ferrell. He's kind of showing some vulnerability too, because like in the beginning he was he's still throughout the movie just kind of making jokes and cracking wise to lighten the mood and everything like that. But,
during a lot of this movie, I was wondering, like, okay, how exhausting would it be to be around Will Ferrell for like 16 days on end? Because he seems kind of like a guy who never turns it off.
Always on, never off.
Yeah. And those people can get very exhausting to hang around with.
Indubitably.
But, we see Will Ferrell just being a real person sometimes in this. So
yeah, I like that.
That was good. Yeah, of course, then they when they get to Vegas, they decide to have a night on town and go to a 5-star restaurant. And we see Harper going to Goodwill for new clothes, and Will Ferrell goes into a theatrical costume shop. And I started getting very nervous because I was like, oh, no, please don't let him go in drag. Please don't let him go in drag.
I thought that too for a minute.
I was so scared. I was like, no, don't do something that dumb and thoughtless, Will Ferrell. Please don't, please don't, please don't. I want to continue liking you as a person.
Don't go full Janet Reno like you did.
That's probably going to backfire you. But no, he just goes, he's in a wig and a fake mustache, and it's like this obvious disguise.
Yeah, like he basically wants to go in disguise to like I guess take away the he doesn't want anybody to know it's him, so that way he figures, oh, if people don't know it's me, people won't get their phones out and take pictures, and so
Yeah,
and
but his disguise is still pretty over the
it's
top. I mean,
really
he's wearing
it's more
yeah,
distracting than just him.
yeah. I mean, he's wearing like this wig and sunglasses and like this Fu Manchu type mustache, and
Like this, he had like a bowl cut and
yeah,
like a bedazzled jumpsuit, and he's going by
right,
the name
right.
David Abernathy.
Yeah, and he's doing like half a bit, and they're discussing like whether their waiter suspects,
Yeah.
and there's a brilliantly timed thing where he's like, yeah, I think John our waiter suspects, and then like right then Will Ferrell's fake mustache falls off.
I was fantastic. That couldn't have been planned.
That was beautifully timed. I don't know if it happened with that sort of timing or if that was just good editing, but either way, it was hilarious.
But yeah, it was fantastic. He was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm David Abernathy. I manage
Hmm.
for Bette Midler and Air Supply.
Right. And I like that they acknowledge that at times Farrell is taking the heat off of Harper.
Yes.
And Harper also like talks about feeling very self-conscious about her face still being very masculine.
Yeah.
And saying like, oh, like it seems like when I do a better job with makeup, I feel less feminine because it kind of brings out the masculine features of her face in sharper relief. I'm not putting it as well as Harper did, but
Right. But no, I understand what you're saying.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, the two of them are definitely getting closer in their
Hmm.
friendship. I think even at one point, Will Ferrell said like, "Yeah, I just feel like you're Harper now. Like I don't even feel like
Yeah, yeah,
I
because
just
they've
see
been together for like I think 2 weeks, something like that. At this
something
point,
like
they're
that."
getting towards the end of the trip,
Right. Yeah, it's getting
and
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, they're kind of past any strangeness or awkwardness. They're just two friends hanging out, and it's lovely to see.
Yeah, yeah. And then as we get towards the end of their trip, they make a stop in
Hmm.
Trona, California, where they check out this house that Harper bought years ago. Because
Yeah,
I think at one point,
6 or 7 years ago, they said.
yeah, because at one point Harper was very fixated on moving to like the Mojave, California,
Uh
like in
huh.
the middle of nowhere where she could just sort of create and live in peace, far away from
Yeah,
everybody. And then they get to the house, and it's just this kind of vandalized, beat up, rundown house in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, but because it was like an isolated place, Harper was saying like this would be a place where I could just have my own space, where I could be a woman. I could just like wear dresses in the house all day and just be there, be myself, and work. And with like 6 or 7 years of perspective, they're kind of talking, or they're maybe realizing that that wasn't the best idea because that's still just kind of hiding. And I want to
Yeah,
be able to go out and interact with people. And she says, I don't want to be afraid of people anymore.
yeah,
And she talks about how happy she is that she doesn't have to lie to people anymore.
yeah. Like she's really kind of. I mean, this is like probably the emotional apex of the
Hmm.
movie, I'd say, where because she
Yeah.
really is at this vulnerable place where she talks about how she hated herself so much and felt like a monster,
Hmm.
and it was just really kind of just wanted to
Yeah.
get away from it all. And she begins.
I mean, even going to a therapist about this stuff, and then the therapist isn't very receptive to it or understanding of it, and it just wow.
Yeah, I don't. It's a lot. Like we see Harper cry and break down. We see Will
Hmm.
cry and break down, and both of them hugging
Yeah,
and embracing, and it really is a beautiful moment. It really is very sweet.
it's a beautiful moment, and it's a beautiful movie. I was getting like teary eyed watching it myself.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have any kind of empathy, I don't see how you could watch this and not come away feeling more understanding of trans people.
yeah. No, you absolutely. This definitely gives you a look into the mind of a world that maybe you aren't familiar with or weren't familiar with,
Yeah,
and just really shows you it's not whatever big scary boogeyman, whatever the news is telling you it is. It's actually
yeah,
a lot more human
and
than that.
I mean, if this movie, like, if some young person or even like an older person who's feeling very confused about their identity, if they get a little more understanding or encouragement or whatever from this movie, I mean, that's incredible. I think that's a noble thing, man. And
absolutely,
they're doing an incredible thing here.
They really are. They truly are.
By opening up and letting other people understand and empathize with their journey. That's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at the end of the trip, day 16. They're making their way to LA. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, guess what Will Ferrell sees? Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And it's like, can we go? And it's like, all right, fine, we'll go. And it's like, hooray.
By the way, apple fritter, solid choice. solid Dunkin' Donuts choice. Have to go wrong with an apple fritter, man.
Yum, they're nice and cold.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and
well, no, that's a beauty of apple fritters is they are great warm, they are great cold, they're just great.
Yeah, great.
I'm honestly craving an apple fritter right now.
Team apple fritter all day.
Hashtag Team Apple Fritter. Yes,
fritter gang. So then after Will Ferrell gets his donuts, Will and Harper meet up with Molly Shannon to get some pedicures happening there. You know, pretty up their feet.
Yeah, they go to a nail salon with Molly Shannon.
I was like, what?
Very random, but yeah, Molly Shannon is, you know, she also seems, you know, so supportive and such a great friend, and she's
I mean, I don't know. Molly Shannon's always just struck me as like just a joyous, happy, just a bright, shining beacon of light. Like she's always like, she has a great aura. She has a great presence. Like,
she seems like a very up person naturally. Yeah. She's also someone I feel like might be kind of exhausting to be around for too long because she also seems like someone who's almost always on.
Maybe I don't know. I mean, she can turn it off. I feel like she can at times, but
yeah, probably. I mean, I have a distorted view because, like, I've never really spent one-on-one time with Molly Shannon, so I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Okay. But I do like how they get the pedicure. I do like how Molly asks each one of them, well, what did you learn about the other?
Yeah.
You know, Will talks about how he had no idea the pit of despair that Harper was in at the time and what she was going through. And then Harper was like, I realized he loves me. Will really loves me and cares about me so much. And it's really, you know, it's like a really sweet moment. And it's like, this is lovely. This is so nice.
And it was a great, insightful question for Molly to ask too, and it's a nice way to kind of tie the end of the movie all together. And we have a really nice, touching scene at the end. They go out to the beach at the Pacific Ocean. They're at the end of their trip now.
Yeah,
Will says, "I got you a gift, you Harper a gift. I got you a pair of diamond earrings so that you can feel pretty." And you know, it's so sweet.
It is. It's like, and they drink beers, watching the sunset. I think, then Harper's like, well, I guess I get to get back to New York because Harper lives in like upstate New York. And then Harper said, well, what are you going to do? And Will's like, well, you know, I got nothing planned. I'm totally free. Yeah. And then Harper's like, well, do you want to drive back to New York with me? And he's like,
yeah, we'll hit other places on the way back. It's almost like a sequel tease.
Nice. Yeah, I wonder if
it's like a sequel hook.
Will and Harper 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, Will and Harper 2. Yeah,
nice. And and that's the movie. And at the very end, we finally get Kristen Wiig's travel song, which is a nice little ditty, like on a ukulele.
I had no idea she played a ukulele.
Yeah, that's a quirky instrument of choice.
Big Zooey Deschanel vibes there.
Yeah, remember when everybody was playing ukuleles in like 2010s or something like that?
Yeah, that was kind of like I don't know if it was the trendy thing or if it was just something in the air then, but yeah, there's a lot of ukuleles. Yeah. I had no idea Kristen Wiig could play the ukulele. That's neat.
The big ukulele boom.
Yeah, it was a sweet song, and also I like the haircut she has. She has a nice little bob thing going on. It's very flattering towards her.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
and that's the movie. Will and Harper. Really liked it. Really loved it. Again, it kind of gave me some insight into a world I myself I'm not super familiar with. I don't know too many trans people like one on one like that. I know a few here and there, but not
Right.
super
Yeah,
close.
but
But
not. And I guess just in the interest of transparency, we did talk quite a bit about like, oh well, should we get someone from the trans community as a guest on this episode? Can we do it ourselves? And like, ultimately we decided like, well, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't have somebody from the trans community on just to be like somebody from the trans community on.
yeah, I actually think it worked better like this because like both of us are kind of coming at it
Mm-hmm.
in the way like Will Ferrell was coming at it, where
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
we're not.
Because it's really about Will Ferrell discovering. I mean, it's obviously about Harper, but it's also about Will Ferrell sort of discovering and learning things as he goes, and he's sort of the audience surrogate in that way. Because I would assume that more cisgender people are going to see this than trans people, just for the simple fact that there are a lot more
Yes.
cisgender people in the world than trans people.
Right.
So
No, absolutely.
yeah. So
But yeah, I really like this movie. It was funny in places, very heartwarming and touching in a lot of places, and just really gave me some great insight into this world that I'm
yeah.
not familiar with. And you saw some harsh realities, but also some uplifting moments as well. And
Yeah, it gave me some hope.
yeah,
Because like a lot of the people that they encountered weren't as bad as you were expecting them to be,
exactly. So
which is nice, and we really need stuff like that these days to give us hope.
oh, indeed, more than ever.
This it's a rough world out there. I mean, this came out in September of 2024. We're recording this in March of 2025. We're already in a very, very different world than when this
Oof.
came out.
We really are. It's shocking how much this world's changed since then. It's only going to get worse. So like
Yeah,
I don't know,
right.
folks. Just be kind to each other. Have some empathy. Don't be a dick. Just
Yeah.
that's and just be yeah. Just have some empathy. I think there was that one. What was it? That was like from Ted Lasso. It was like don't be mean, be
Hmm.
curious, or something like that.
Be curious, not
Yes,
judgmental.
that's it. I think
Be
that's it.
curious, not judgmental.
Yes.
Which I think that's just a great guide to life. There's a quote from Kurt Vonnegut that's also running through my head. Is like, we're here to get each other through this thing, whatever this is.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I like
and
that.
that's really good. And I'm so glad we finally saw this. I
Mm.
was, this was this is something weird. It was almost hanging over us for a month. I know I said at one point I was like, I feel guilty that we haven't made the time to watch this yet, but it was just a scheduling thing.
But yeah, no, we got it. I'm glad we got to it, and
I'm so glad I saw it. It's one of the best films I've seen in weeks. So
it's pretty
yeah,
fantastic.
I really loved it. This is
Absolutely.
this is terrific stuff.
Yeah, but let's find out what our listeners thought about this. We put the word out that we were doing this. We
Uh
heard
huh.
on the Blue Skies from our good friend Shari, like Starry.
Hmm. Yeah.
Says, glad you two got around to this one. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It did something that few films do, told an honest story and let things unfold naturally. Harper's journey is
Yeah.
far from over. Glad she chose to share the beginning of it, not only with Will, but with all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's very well said, Shari. That's
Mhm.
because I mean that's a tough enough thing to go through in private, and to choose to expose your journey like that in a documentary.
Mm,
I'm sure that's not something that Harper Steele did lightly, but I'm so glad she did. That was wonderful,
absolutely.
and I hope it helps some people, and I hope it changes some other people's
I
minds.
hope
That
so
that would
too.
be that would be terrific.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that this is just out there, like,
Hmm.
there's a chance that it will affect somebody. Hopefully for the better. Hopefully for the
Yeah,
positive, and that's all any of us can do.
I I mean, I'd like to think that there aren't people out there who would see this movie and walk away and thinking like, oh well, now I hate trans people even more.
Woke
I mean, I get,
propaganda, blah blah blah.
yeah, I guess it stands to reason that there have to be some people who feel that way, but ugh.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, the hope is that you put it out there, it will help more than it'll hurt.
Yeah, like even if you've never met a trans person in life, and yeah, there are lots of people like that who don't have any experience, with that. You can watch this and feel like you do know a trans person now.
Absolutely.
And know a little what they're about.
Absolutely.
And it's not a sickness. It's not.
It's not.
It's not anything like that. It's just somebody trying to be comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, just.
And isn't that what everybody's trying to do to one degree or another?
Very much so. Absolutely.
Anyway, our friend Manette Moratti at Manette M97 at bluesky.social says it's the bare effing minimum, but it is still heartwarming that on the Lonely Island podcast, they never dead name Harper when referring to their past work with her on SNL. It's an acknowledgement that none of the comedy she did in the past is invalidated by her transitioning.
Here.
Yeah, that's nice. And that's something that it took me a while to kind of bend my mind around, of where like a person's original name is, like a lot of people in the trans community call it their dead name. Like, don't call me that anymore. That's my dead name.
Right.
And I think that term is very helpful in showing how hurtful that can be. And it took me a while to like kind of bend my way around. And it's like, well, like, if like somebody got divorced and their name changes from that, it's like that doesn't like retroactively make them never that person. But like, people should be called what they want to be called,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the bare fucking minimum, like Manette says.
It's the bare minimum. I think like Roy Wood Jr. had a joke about that, where like people who don't call people by what they want to be called, and it's like, well, yeah. You call Ice Cube. You call Ice-T, like Ice Cube isn't his real name. It's O'Shea Jackson. You call Snoop Dogg. His name's Calvin. You have no problem calling Snoop Dogg. But yeah,
we all went with it when Prince was an unpronounceable symbol for a few years.
Yeah.
He went, like, Snoop Dogg went from Snoop Dogg to Snoop Lion to wasn't he? There was some other third thing in the mix there for a while, and then he went back to Snoop Dogg, I think.
I mean, he originally was Snoop Doggy Dogg. Then he went.
That's right. That's what I'm thinking of.
Then he shortened it to Snoop Dogg. Then it was Snoop Lion for a while, and everybody was like, "Sure, all right, you're Snoop Lion now."
Yeah, and when somebody's like, "Oh, I'm still going to call you Mister."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're just being an asshole now.
Yeah, you're just doing it just to be a dick, and like, just don't be a dick, people. Just
don't be a dick.
It's so easy.
Don't be a dick.
Think of what a dick would do, and don't do that.
And do the opposite of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So easy.
Didn't we have a comment or two on Facebook as well?
Yeah, on Facebook, good friend Racine Oxtoby talking about how they are going to have a screening of this film on March 31st, International Trans Day of Visibility, at the library where they work. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, they adore this movie, and it really makes me want to buy a little jacket for my beer and name him something cute.
Yeah.
Because there was like
yes, they do that at one point in the movie. And also, like, we see so many things during the closing credits. We see them like go-kart racing and stuff. There must be a mess of deleted scenes from this.
Yeah.
It's like 16 days worth of material.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff on the cutting room floor. I'm sure of it.
There's gotta be. I bet they probably have enough to like get a sequel out of this thing.
The sequel, baby.
Yeah, but this was really good. I'm really glad we saw this.
Yeah,
and it's a different sort of film than what we usually do, but I'm so glad we watched it.
Yeah, on a very special SNL Nerds. Will and Harper.
Oh, they're playing the theme to Dawson's Creek underneath us now.
Ooh, wow. Oh, wow, this is a special episode. All right.
Yeah.
And that's the episode, guys. Thanks again for listening, as always, to the podcast. As always, you can follow us on Blue Sky or on Facebook. Look up our YouTube videos up on the YouTubes. And you can donate to our Patreon at Non-Productive.com. Donate money to our little podcast here. Help us out. Help us grow bigger, better, stronger, faster.
Yeah, and if you listen to the podcast. If you like the podcast, if you enjoy the podcast, please help spread the word about it. Tell a friend, tell 2 friends, tell 10 friends. Be annoying about it. Like I was about to say retweet us, repost us on Blue Sky, on Facebook or something. Help spread the word. Yeah.
Yeah. Be a real bother about it. Lose friends over it. Help us out.
Yeah. Get annoying about it.
Yeah. Be like, I can't hang out with him anymore. He's talking about that SNL Nerds podcast. What the fuck? Gah.
And then, like, months later, they finally break down and listen to it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, yeah, that was all right.
Yeah. And then
that didn't totally suck.
And then you'll have the last laugh. Ha ha.
Yeah. Ha ha.
And as always, you can follow me on Blue Sky and social medias, all the social medias at Darren Credible, DARIN Incredible.
And you can follow me on all the social medias at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL. And the word comic. I'm on the Blue Sky. I'm on the Facebook. I'm on the Instagram. I'm on the Letterboxd. So check me out in those places. I'm a delight.
You are, sir. You are.
Yeah.
And that's our episode. Join us next time when SNL returns with Mikey Madison and Morgan Wallen or Whalen. I never know how to pronounce his last name.
A lot of M's. I'm not sure if it's Wallen or Whalen. And honestly, I don't particularly care to find out.
Yeah, I'll call him whatever the fuck I want to call him.
And we've done more than an hour and a half of like, call people by what they want to be called. And we get to Morgan Wallen. Fuck how he wants his name pronounced.
I mean, fuck him. You've seen him.
Because he is,
yeah,
by all apparent evidence, an asshole.
Yeah, he's trash.
But you know what? Even assholes should be called what they want.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Morgan Wallen.
The standards have to apply to everyone.
Oh, fine. I'll try to be a better person. Morgan Wallen.
I'm still calling him Leon Scum, though.
Yeah. Yes. That one, I'm not budging from that.
Yeah.
He's still Leon Scum.
Yeah.
Fuck that dude.
The orange shit gibbon. I don't give a fuck what I call
it.
As long as it's an insulting nickname, that's what I'll call it.
Oh, this podcast was all nice and sweet until the end.
I know. Yeah. Then we end on a note of hate.
Right. Oh, circle of life. The balance. The delicate balance that is life.
It really does. But yeah, hey, we'll be back with a new episode of SNL next week, and we'll find out together what we think of that. And hopefully it's a good one. We'll see you then. But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.